who was a member of a newly formed nature study class. Here is the exact wording of the communication. Dear Sir, 10 a.m. wind east, cloudy. Small birds seen on ground in orchard. Please name. P.S. All the leaves have fallen. Reporting blanks. A convenient booklet of reporting blanks and directions for using them is issued by the National Association of Audubon Societies, New York City. This is very useful in recording descriptions of birds. The blanks may be sent to the office of the National Association and the species described will be named. Bird books. There are a number of inexpensive books which contain illustrations of birds in natural colors. One of these will be of the greatest aid to the beginner in bird study. Among the most useful are the Reed's Bird Guides, one covering the birds of the eastern and the other those of the western part of the United States. The pictures alone will be of great use in learning the names of feathered neighbors, while an intelligent study of the text will reveal the identity of many others. Local lists of such birds as are found in a neighborhood or a county are always a great aid in determining, with a fair degree of accuracy, just what species may or may not be expected to appear in a given locality. Such lists are usually published in the Auk, the Condor, or other ornithological publications, and in many cases are printed and distributed later as separate pamphlets. There have been published also many state lists of birds, usually accompanied by detailed information regarding abundance and distribution of all the species known to occur in the state. Every bird student should, if possible, get a copy of his own state bird book. Any reader who may wish to learn if such a list of the birds of his neighborhood or state has been published is at liberty to address the question to the author of this book. Movements of birds. One does not get very far in the work of bird study without discovering that certain movements are characteristic of various families, and when the observer is able to recognize this difference in manner, a long step has been taken in acquiring the power of identifying species. After watching for a time the actions of a downy woodpecker as it clings to the side of a tree or hops along its bark, one is quick to recognize the woodpecker manner when some other species of that family is encountered. Recalling the ceaseless activities of a yellow warbler, the observer feels, without quite knowing why, that he has discovered another warbler of some kind when a redstart or chestnut-sided warbler appears. Once identify a barn swallow coursing through the air, and a long stride is made toward the identification of the cliff or tree swallow when one swings into view. The flight of the flicker, the goldfinch, the nighthawk, and the sparrowhawk is so characteristic in each case that I have often been able to name the bird for a student upon being told its approximate size and the character of its flight. Who can see a wild duck swimming or a gull flying without at once referring it to the group of birds to which it belongs? Thus the first step is taken towards learning the names of the species and the grouping of them into families. Artificial cover in hiding. When studying the larger or the shyer species, it is sometimes well to hide oneself from view with whatever articles are at hand that resemble the natural surroundings. This may be done by covering with hay if in a field, or by holding some leafy branches about you if in the woods. On a lonely island in Pamlico Sound I once got some fishermen to cover me with sand and seashells, and in that way managed to get a close view of the large flocks of cormorants that came there to roost every night. The island was small and perfectly barren, and any other method of attempted concealment would have failed utterly. Another time, while crouching among some boulders watching for a flock of Gambel's quails to come to a waterhole in the Santa Catalina Mountains of Arizona, a canyon wren alighted on my back, for I was covered with an old tent fly so spotted with mildew that it closely resembled the neighboring rocks. A moment later it flew to a point scarcely more than a foot from my face, when, after one terrified look, it departed. The umbrella blind. A device now often used by ornithologists is the umbrella blind, which is easy to construct. Take a stout umbrella, remove the handle, and insert the end in a hollow brass rod 5 feet long. Sharpen the rod at the other end and thrust it into the ground. Over the raised umbrella throw a dark green cloth, cut and sewed as to make a curtain that will reach the ground all around. A drawstring will make it fit over the top. Get inside, cut a few vertical observation slits 6 inches long, and your work is done. Erect this within 10 feet of a nest and leave it alone for a few hours. The birds will quickly get accustomed to it, so that later you may go inside and watch at close range without disturbing them in the least. This blind is often used for close bird photography. I have taken pictures of herring gulls at a distance of only 6 feet with the aid of such a blind. If you wish to use it on a windy day, it may be stayed by a few guide lines from the top and sides. The foregoing instructions include all the necessary aids to a beginner in bird study who desires to start afield properly equipped. To summarize them, all that is really necessary is a field glass, a notebook for memoranda, inconspicuous clothing, and a desire to listen and learn. In the next chapter we shall discuss some of the things to be learned in the study of the life about the nest. End of chapter 1.